Tiffany Thurston here, and welcome to Blue Planet Studios in Honolulu, Hawaii. We're here recording my fourth project, but it's been about 5 years, and so it's been a long time coming. I'm excited because I feel like I haven't done one in a while, but also these are just kind of songs that represent who I am in this season, and a lot of them are worship songs. I am a worship leader, and so I do a lot of that on the road as well. But anyway, this project is really special to me because it actually involves a lot of people that I love and people that I've known for a really long time. I grew up here in Hawaii, born and raised, and for a few years I moved to Nashville for about 6 and 7 years, and then I moved back. And so the last almost 4 years now, I've been able to kind of reconnect with people that I've played music with since I was little and since I was young, and that's what this band is basically that's on the record. Imua Garza is producing it and kind of heading it up, and he plays guitar, he really plays everything, but he's focusing on guitar and vocals. We've got Chris Sanders, who's on piano, and he brings so much because we used to actually be at church together, on staff actually, and we were like the two young worship pastors. We weren't really worship pastors, but you know, we're in that position basically, and we would just work together. So we have a lot of history with just kind of worshiping together, which is really fun. We've got Fred Alkane, who's coming in to lay down drums and cajon and percussion, and I've known Fred forever. We also went to the same high school. Yeah. Scotty, I've known actually since he was like in the youth choir. Now he's taller than all of us, and he's a beast on the bass. We also have Tifa Garza, who was actually in my bridal party. She's a dear friend and married to Imua Garza. And this is just like kind of a family affair. And so I love it because it really is a snapshot of what God is doing in my life right now. And I get to be home, and that's where we're recording it. We get to be surrounded by friends and people that I love to make music with. This is my fourth album now, and I feel like this will be a perfect snapshot of where I'm at today. But the why behind it really is, I feel like we all have a voice, we all have a purpose, we all have a reason, and if we always think, oh no, somebody else has already done that, so I don't want to like do my part, I think that that's so hindering. It doesn't allow you to kind of rise up to the things that God has called you to be. And so for me, sometimes it's scary because I think to myself, well, I've been a little bit out of shape, I haven't been singing as much as I used to. Should I still do a project? And I felt like for me, this is my faith stand, my trust walk, whatever you want to call it. But I don't know, you might have something that you're saying, oh, I shouldn't do it because I'm not good enough, or I don't have enough of this or that. I say start with what you got, bloom where you're planted. I know that God wants to use you right where you're at, and have a little bit of courage. You don't have to have a lot, just a little bit, but just to take that first step. I believe that God will meet you right where you're at, and I feel like He's done that today in the studio. I feel like sometimes people are so fearful of doing it because they want the big, they want the grand, they say I have to have all my ducks in a row to be able to get here, or they see what's on Instagram and so they want to like match that. But I feel like those people that are posting sometimes on Instagram, what they don't see is kind of that behind the scenes, that all the work and all the time and all the steps of faith that they took basically to get to that point. For about 6 years I got to travel with this tour called the Revolve Tour. Every time I did a show with Revolve or with Natalie, I'd get a lot of girls, young girls, actually come up to me and say, how do I do what you're doing? Or how do I live out my dream? And I would tell them, bloom where you're planted. There's a reason that the Lord has placed you in your city, your school, your church, your town, your community for such a time as this. But we have to develop the gifts that we have and use it where we have them. And I feel like that's a message for all of us. Oftentimes we feel like we have to have this huge stage and we have to have all these things in place and all these followers first to be able to be useful for the kingdom, or just be useful at all. But that's not the truth. That's the total lie. I feel like when we start small and you start now, there's something about that faithfulness in the daily doing, the daily disciplines. And I really believe that God can use that. And for me, sure, would I want to do more things sometimes? Yes, but I feel like if I can just start with what I have, I feel like God really meets me with where I'm at, and He takes the rest and does so much more than I could ever fathom. And so my hope is that you'd be encouraged, that you'd be inspired, empowered, and you'll be surprised and you'll be amazed and you'll be blown away by what God can do with a small little offering and a heart that's turned to Him.